Influencers in the wild, lights shining brightly on them, taking photos of every meal, sipping copious amounts of Aperol spritz, documenting every moment of their expenses-free holiday, posting to their stories highlights from their third VIP event for the week, and being the complete center of attention. Damn it, I'm freaking contributing to this narcissistic culture. Influencers versus content creators. What's the difference?
It's a social media influencer, although she and most others in her role prefer the term content creator.
The creator economy, which includes the aforementioned career options, is still a relatively new and widely misunderstood industry, especially here in Australia.
Let's not lie, Sheila's in bikinis is one of the first things you think about when you think of influencers.
And I will add, the Gold Coast, my hometown, would be regarded as the influencer capital of the nation. Not for positive reasons, of course. That title breeds a variety of stereotypical jokes, which, admittedly, I find funny.
The connotation around, the word influencer is because I think the type of people that rose up in prominence in that field, and it was like product placement went out of control.
This is Michael Drowley.
Well, g'day everyone, how's it going? Welcome back to the channel.
Content creator with a YouTube following of 10,000 subscribers.
It was a product that, the person potentially had only just picked up through the mail, and they'd basically done 10 stories on why they loved it. And they hadn't probably had time with the product to figure out what it was, how it worked for them, whether it was a good, let's say skincare product or something like a homewares product. So that's why I believe the influencer name got a bit of a bad rap.
Allow me to give a case study to Michael's point. One of the events I had the pleasure of being invited to was the grand reopening of Horizon Sky Dining, Gold Coast's only revolving restaurant. Just imagine everyone with their phones out, posing to get the perfect pic for their Instagram feed, or at least stories. Two of those guests were the most followed influencers in Australia. The Hembro sisters, seen in the background of my shot, have a combined following of 18 million followers on Instagram. And my flex is that I was invited to the same event as them. If you take a peek at Tammy Hembro's paid partnerships, the featured products only take up a quarter of the image. That's a joke. To Michael's point, what's not to say she and other influencers hadn't simply posed with the product that was only delivered that morning. Now, in fairness, brands can largely be at fault for expecting quick turnaround times for the post to be shared across socials. But ignoring that variable, creativity still lacks. And other influencers or content creators, whatever, we haven't decided who's who yet, would agree with me.
It's not all about just getting free products in exchange for a cute little photo. Like, there's a lot more, like I mentioned, that goes behind the scenes.
That's now largely true with the demand of video content, i.e. TikTok and Instagram Reels. And that's how I personally grew an audience. My bare bum wouldn't have stood out in this already saturated, bare bum driven market. It took me genuine effort and creativity to create content that you, the audience, are interested in. But that still doesn't take away from the fact that I can whip up a video within 24 hours of receiving a product in the mail, with a script I had no input in writing.
Consumers are often quite naive about the degree to which influencers are paid and reimbursed, and the degree to which what they say is quite scripted versus what they honestly think.
When we're talking about creatives and content creators who get given a brief, certainly I think brands need to think about collaboration and work that works for both sides. And what I mean by that is the creator actually benefiting from the content that the brand and business want them to produce. So it's not outside of their wheelhouse. It's basically aligned to who they are and what their core messaging is. And that's what can bring about the authenticity that really can take a brand and their messaging through a creator to another level. There's some smaller creators who aren't necessarily influencers, but they can create great content for brands and businesses because there's an authenticity that comes with just being, in that early stage of their career.
One article defines the two debated definitions like this. Content creators tend to focus on providing expertise about products, services, or other topics relevant to a specific industry. Hence Michael's point about brands collaborating more intentionally with creators, choosing someone that fits the niche rather than having a specific number of followers. While influencers are typically more focused on the personality behind their brand. What we've seen in the creator economy is content creators be very selective on the brands they choose to associate with. As I would believe, and I speak for myself, telling a compelling story is the main priority.
People's attention spans are like this these days, so you got to tell a really compelling story in a really creative way to keep people watching.
Whereas you could argue influencers say yes to any and every deal as long as it continues to fund their lavish lifestyle. And someone's going to have a problem with me saying that.
I think for brands and businesses looking to collaborate with creatives, it's certainly about the reach. It's one aspect, the reach a creative might have and an influence over an industry, but it's actually more about the content that they're going to create and whether that aligns with the brand's values and what they're trying to communicate. And I think the authenticity that comes with creators as opposed to influencers is that there's so much more alignment and there's so much more, trust that can be formed with brands. The reach is not necessarily the end goal. It's more the trust that that brand wants to build with their audiences. I believe that there's creators, authentic creators out there that aren't trying to just make money from brands. They're actually wanting to grow the awareness of the industry that they're in, and they're really passionate about the products that they use. One of the brands that reached out to me on my YouTube channel was a brand from China who made like quite interesting products for lighting and filmmaking, photography, but the products were really a low-end product that I wouldn't probably use myself because I've aligned with other brands where the products are really good, high-end, and I would definitely share those with my audience. These products were like, there were so many I could have chosen, and they were prepared to do a deal, a good brand deal, so I could have made money off the back of those endorsements, but I just didn't feel right about it because the product itself wasn't one that I would use myself. That's a time when they would have given me the copy to read, and so I would have had to read their scripting as well around the product. So even if I used the product, sometimes, like in this particular case, the brand said that they didn't want to hear my opinion. It wasn't like going to be a personal review. It was basically going to be showing the product in the right light and how they wanted me to, and then reading from their prepared script. So I declined to do that. The other brand I've worked with is Viltrox and Weelight, and their products are really good and really good quality. And I use them. I'm using one right now to kind of light this back scene here, and they work very well. And I've had 4 or 5 of their products, and I've done videos on their products as well that I use on my YouTube channel. So that's the difference there, where sometimes a brand will come in with their opinion and what they want. And I would say my advice to creators is just be careful with that, because you don't want to just be a brand ambassador, not knowing that the product's good value and that you've tried and tested the product. And then also you want to make sure you can maintain like anonymity from having to say exactly what they want, and be able to say, look, this is a great product, but there's these issues, and, talk openly and authentically about the real value to other people, other creatives with that product.
I would class myself as a content creator. Yes, I get meals for free, and occasionally I'm invited to VIP events. But at the core of what I do, I help tell people stories. That's been the God Given Talent brand for a long time. Currently, it's with those specifically working in Gold Coast food and travel scene, but I hope to expand and explore all of Gold Coast culture. And being labeled as the influencer capital is just as much part of our culture.